What's up, guys, and welcome to the channel. This is Tyler Tote. I was recently reading some pretty disturbing reports on obesity trends and overweight trends across our country and especially in the West. And what I found was pretty shocking. It led me down a few rabbit holes, led me to discover some of the things about big pharma. Hey, if we're spending trillions of dollars, that's with a T, trillions of dollars a year on healthcare, why is our lifespan continuing to go down the last 5 years? What is going on with healthcare in our country? So I wanted to dive in and share some of these really alarming and crazy stats with you, and then also talk about what we can do as individuals and society and how to combat this. So let's dive in. The first thing I wanted to start with, this is right off the government website at the CDC. This says that currently we are over 50%. We've hit that tipping point where 51% of adults are considered overweight or obese. This is terrifying to me, and the even crazier part said that we are on trend by 2030, we're talking a little over 5 years here, to be at 86% of adults being overweight or obese. How do you perform basic jobs that require then people to be physically fit? Police officers, firemen, military. This is just a really disturbing trend and crazy, and this is right on the government website. What's crazier to me yet is we're in an election year. Not one politician is talking about this. This is an absolute crisis, and I would say a real pandemic, and no one is talking about it. You know, our children are at 21% obesity. That's expected to rise to 30%. It's really insane. We're the first society in human history to be eating ourselves to death. We seemingly can't do anything about it. We spend trillions of dollars and a lot of our GDP on healthcare, yet we keep getting sicker. Here's some other crazy stats I want to share with you. This goes around big pharma specifically. Americans, we make up about 5%, give or take, of the world's population. We consume 65% of the pharmaceuticals in the world. That stat absolutely blew my mind. Why are Americans, seemingly the most advanced society ever and the land of opportunity, and we got 7 million people that have illegally come into this country this year. Why is everybody racing to get here if we're the most medicated society in the history of mankind? 65% of the world's big pharmaceutical drugs are consumed right here in the good old US of A. The average adult takes 4 prescription medications per day. 4. That is wild to me, and as a 40-year-old pretty healthy guy who takes 0, that blew my mind. The crazier part to me is 6.8 billion with a B was spent on ads last year. Now that makes up 75% of the total ad spend last year happened from big pharma. Now here's the crazy thing when you really start to break this down and say, okay, why do we not hear about the negative side effects of a lot of these drugs? Why are they, why when we saw COVID and all these things happening, was it there was one-sided or you were censored? Well, you just need to peel it back a little bit and say 75% of all ads on television spent come from big pharma. Now you couple that with this crazy statistic that shows 233 million was spent from big pharma to lobbying just last year. That's just what we know about, right? That's just actual dollars that legally go over, which, by the way, how is lobbying a legal thing? They're essentially just bribing politicians. They're backing their campaign. I did a previous video about Citizens United that happened in 2010. That's where corporations can now act as individuals, donate as much money as they want to these politicians. Guess who's now a slave to these corporations? Well, you're seeing this with big pharma in real time. They've hijacked our food. They control the information because 75% of the dollars that are spent on American advertising comes from big pharma. And now they have the politicians in their corner. So you have this triumvirate now of big food and big pharma saying, you know what, we're going to censor and bottleneck the information that comes down. We're going to continue to feed the American public that there's nothing wrong with this, just look the other way, right? When in reality, again, our lifespan has decreased 5 years in a row. That's with the rise of technology. So we need to stop and pause and ask ourselves, what is going on? Our testosterone counts are reducing by 1% each year. Fertility rates are dropping. Cancer, all-time high. All these things continue to go the wrong direction, and yet nobody has an answer for this. No one will talk about it, and if they do, they're censored. Just another little fun stat. Big Pharma spent 19 times last year on ads more than they do on research for the drugs. So you really look at what does Big Pharma do? What is their main mission? Well, I'll tell you, it's twofold. It's to print money and keep lifelong customers. And when you're sick, that's great, man, because the average American takes 4 pills a day. You're a lifelong customer, baby. They got you. You got to ask yourself, incentives matter. One of my favorite quotes from Charlie Munger, Legendary trader, show me an incentive, I'll show you an outcome. Now, I love capitalism. I truly think it's the best system we have. It trumps communism or socialism, in my opinion, but I do think this is a downfall to it. Something we need to be aware of and really think outside the box on this. And I'm challenging you here to say, do these people have it in their best interest for you to be healthy, for you to be fit? Or is there a big kind of, I don't want to call it a conspiracy or whatever you think, but just an incentive to keep you fat, to keep you sick, to keep you medicated? Because all these things seem to tie in. And if they're spending 19 times more money every year on advertising than they do on finding cures for these things, do they really want to find cures, or are they really a marketing company that's just making great money? You have to pause and ask yourself some of those questions. I was recently honored and humbled to be featured in a really cool documentary on the Daily Caller entitled Sick. It's exposing big pharma, it's exposing a lot of these things and just asking a lot of these questions that no one seems to be asking. Are doctors really trying to heal us and help us and prevent disease? Or are we just treating symptoms? Big pharma, what is going on with all this? We need to be asking some of these questions. Here's a quick clip from it right now.
You know, they need to keep selling you pills, hit their quotas, do these things. You look at big pharma, you look at how all these things are kind of aligned. Big pharma, big food. They own politicians on both sides of the aisle. All this stuff is kind of related in my eyes. And again, you look at the average American today is on 4 medications. The average American, we got 2/3 is obese, overweight today. They're customers for life.
I think it becomes pretty obvious that you just have to understand that these people do not have your best interest at heart. I go back to the pandemic and say, we closed gyms, we closed outdoor parks, we closed hiking trails, but here in Las Vegas, they didn't close casinos. Here in Las Vegas, they didn't close weed shops or alcohol stores. Do they really want you well? Do these people have your best interest at heart? I think the answer becomes pretty clear when you start to look into some of these things. And look, I'm just gonna share a quick story about my hero, my dad. I love this guy so much. You know, he recently went to the doctor a year or so ago, and he started to get lectured by a doctor who said, you know, Gary, you're not up to date with your, all the vaccines and all these things that we want you to take and do this. And he started lecturing my dad. And my dad stopped him and kind of said, I'm 65 and I run every day. I lift. I'm super healthy. And I'm looking across the room at this doctor who's now lecturing me, who's 20 years younger than me, but probably can't do half as many push-ups as I can or run half as far as I can. And you're lecturing me on health. And so my dad just kind of said, hey, respectfully, doc, I see you 15 minutes a year. I am responsible for my health. I will take ownership of my health. I will decide what goes in my body. And every day, my choices, the food that I decide to put into my body, the amount of movement and sunlight that I get, the way I start my mornings and routine and the way that I deal with stress and these things, has nothing to do with you. So with all due respect, my health is on me. And I love that so much. And my dad taught me a lot of great lessons. I think this is probably the most important one. No one's coming to save you. There isn't gonna be a politician who steps out and says, we gotta fight this and we gotta tackle this and we gotta go at this. They just don't care. They're bribed by lobbyists every year. They're owned by big pharma. They're owned by these corporations. So if they're not gonna care about it, you better. And you better take ownership of this. And you better decide today, man, I don't wanna be a part of this trend or the statistic, or if you already are, I got the best news ever for you. You can pump the brakes today. And you can say, I'm gonna start making healthier choices. I'll be honest, guys, the best medicine that you can take is exercise, sunlight, and eating real food. If you find yourself not healthier on the other side of this, just pause, write down a couple goals for tomorrow. Get up a little earlier, do a little stretching, take a walk, be mindful of the foods you're putting in your body. You can start to reverse this trend and go back. I always say the absolute best medicine on the planet, they're free. It's exercising every day, getting up and moving, walking, dancing, running, throwing a frisbee, playing, doing yoga, whatever activities you like that involve movement, do more of those. Your body needs it. Otherwise, you will be dependent on a lot of these things. I'm absolutely grateful to live in a time where we have modern day medicine like we do. And in no way am I saying the whole thing's a cover up and a conspiracy to make you this or that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm actually grateful that if, God forbid, I get cancer tomorrow, we have tools to fight it. But the day-to-day stuff, guys, I'm just gonna share a quick story. At 33, I remember going to the doctor and saying, we had a newborn that screamed all night. Love you to death, Tinley, but that's the way it was for a while. I had a brand new job that was pretty stressful. I was going back to school full time. I felt like my anxiety was out of control. So I went to the doctor, and within 10 minutes, I walked out of that office with anti-anxiety medicine, SSRIs, all these things. Oh, this will make it better. I never got asked one question. Hey, how do you spend your mornings? Are you working out? Do you walk outside in the sun? What kind of foods do you eat? Nothing about lifestyle. Take this pill, it'll fix it. You're a great customer then. So look, I did. I took the pill for 6 months, and then, dude, I got to the point where the side effects were driving me insane. Insomnia, I felt like I couldn't sleep, really, really crazy thoughts. And that was one night where I just decided, I'm done with this. I'm changing my life. And I remember I wrote out rules for myself. I said, I'm gonna wake up at this time. I'm gonna take a walk every single day in the sun on my lunch break. I'm gonna meal prep and eat healthier foods. Voila, 3-4 months down the road, my body not only looked different, my mind was different. I didn't struggle with the anxiety. It has reduced 99% since then. So what I want you to take away from this video is one really important point. Nobody's coming to save you. It is totally up to you to decide the kind of life you want, the energy levels you want, the body you want, the mindset you want, and what you want to accomplish in this life. They say sitting is the new smoking, and inactivity will take 10 to 12 years off your life. That's what all the studies show right now. Are you getting up and moving every day? Can you just take a walk? I recently read 20% of Americans never exercise, not 1 minute a week. You know, if you can find hours a week to watch your favorite TV show, buy a little walking treadmill and walk while you watch your favorite TV show. Get an exercise bike in there and bike while you watch your favorite TV show. Make it enjoyable, but make movement and health a part of your life. There's a really famous saying by Confucius, and that's, a healthy man desires 1,000 things. And I think so often we can be guilty of this. And you know what? When everything's healthy and working fine, well, I want to accomplish X, Y, Z, right? We don't think and prioritize our health. But he goes on to finish that by saying, a sick man desires only one. Don't let yourself get to that point where you're so sick that you can't go back. Start today. Take the first step. Get the walk in. Start creating a routine of health. If you don't know where to start, reach out. I'm happy to point you in a lot of right directions. I'll help as much as I possibly can. This one gets me really fired up because, again, I feel like if any politician was serious at all about helping the American people or advancing our society, they'd be talking about these things. But they're not. They keep you arguing about the same nonsense that doesn't really affect your life as much as your own health does. So quit looking at outside voices, quit waiting for somebody else to save you, and take the first step today to regaining your health and taking it back. No one's coming to save you, but you can save yourself. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You go have the greatest day of your life. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Let's go change the world, baby. Have the greatest day.